So the biggest thing we talk about, especially in your driver, is just your setup position. The Tiger, if I draw lines on his feet, you can see his shoulders are kind of equal. And we do that over here on your foot. You can see most of your weight sitting on your front foot. This is going to create too much of a downward blow to the ball and not be able to launch it up. Even though you are behind the ball, you're not in a position to create that angle of attack to get that ball to launch up in the air. And from this position, when you swing back, even though you're resisting here at this point, to get the energy to get through the ball, you're just going to get stuck here, as you can see, and you just can't get through. So you're fighting to get that launch angle up in your swing. So the big thing is, after that setup position, we worked on how to work on that. Now, because of this, your natural motion is still from the shoulders instead of the upper half. And so we're take a look at another video here. So we want to have, especially in any of our shots when we're hitting iron or wood, we're trying to find leverage to the ball. And the key thing is to have our body set. So the one thing that worked well with just being, if you watch Jon Rahm, how he's resisting here, is that point where he can sit there and drive leverage to what we're trying to hit. And what happens is when you move from the shoulders first, you're going to get that leverage. And part of that one thing, key, that you were swinging well, there was a feeling of heading down. You get that energy going this way to get the energy into that golf club. The problem is if the shoulders lead first, this is a stronger force than it is for you to come down. So we want to set that up and work and feel like you're hitting the ball with this feeling here where you're working from the ground. And working that feeling and that core feeling. Trying to get to that feeling, and that keeps you behind and gets that power instead of that shoulder twisting behind feeling. Because right there is when you've got a lot of speed in your swing, you just don't have the leverage to get that, especially a driver. And so this, you can kind of hit down on an iron, but just can't really do that with a driver in your swing. As you see, as they work from the lower half, you can see all that as we work down to the ball, you're going to see, as you see as they come down, as they apply leverage here, the hips are out in front, where the lower half is driving, the upper half is still back. I guess a good one is here of Tommy Fleetwood in the bottom right, as he's hitting this driver here. And in your swing, that shoulder is leading and the hips are kind of following. So at impact, your shoulders are more open. So we just have to keep working on, once we get that setup position, especially with this driver, we've got to get that feeling of working that way to the ball. And then we can let it release through, get that extension through the shot. So here is from the new setup position. You can see right here in this motion here, right there, you can see that ratio is better. You see the hips are kind of, the lower half is leading, the upper half is behind. And that allows you to get to that launch angle up. And that allows you to get that extension and stay down through the shot. So that setup position, so we're going to keep working on that feeling just right as you get to this resistance feeling, how we work back to the ball to launch that ball up in there to get more behind it, get the lower half more involved. Let's take a look at a couple of these chip shots. So a couple things in your chip shots here as we go through. You're going to see right there in this, we want to feel the hands really quiet. You'll see your right hand kind of push it into the ground that time. So there's a lot of hit right here on your right side, even though you're not flipping. And we just, as we're going to work, we're going to picture if I had the impact bag here, I don't want you to hit the bag here, but I want you to feel like your hips or your belt buckle is pointing on that side of the bag. So we want more of that feeling through there. So you're kind of getting here and stopping and pushing down the club into the ground, and that can cause you to kind of hit it heavy, and then eventually you're going to pull up. So if we look at that drill again, so you're going to notice here when I'm doing, let's just look at the one I did with my right hand only. You can see it impact that as I'm hitting, my belt buckle is leading this way on this side of the bag. That means I'm pushing my weight. You see my right knee move. That means I'm moving my weight, and my hips and my arm is just staying quiet. And when you go through, what's going to happen, we're just going to get that to move a little bit more so that belt buckle's on the other side. This will clear out some room for you to kind of get through and not get it stuck in the ground. If you kind of look at where my belt buckle would be, as I'm going through, it's leading. So at impact, I just kind of feel like my belt buckle is facing on the other side of the bag at this point. I feel like I'm hitting here. And then my belt buckle is facing that. That gives me room to swing my arms freely through there. If I don't move and I get stuck, I'm going to push it like you did into the ground. So we're going to work on that to get a little better feel in your chipping.